What's going on, guys? It's the RPO podcast. It's your favorite college football podcast. I'm your humble host, Jerome Jones, and I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Ray Roberts. How you doing, Ray?
I'm good, Jerome. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm always glad to be here, talk some football, talk some college football, talk some. I just can't wait to the football season, man. It's itching closer. It's about to be July tomorrow, so a little 14 if you're watching this later on. But tomorrow's gonna be July, so we got July, we got August, and then September.
Yep.
And September is the golden month. That's when all football is going on. We're super happy, and I just can't wait to get started. How excited are you, Ray? It's getting
I'm very excited.
Grass, right?
What's that?
You can smell the grass, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I think me and Ryan are going to take a ride out to Notre Dame Stadium in October to see them play North Carolina too. So I'm very excited.
That's like an annual thing for you guys, right? Y'all go every year, or y'all try to go like every other year?
Yeah, we've been trying to go every couple of years or so. Yeah. So
awesome. That's great, man.
Plus, we get to go see them play North Carolina, who's a pretty solid team. So
definitely.
It should be a good
and
time.
as you guys may know, I just moved to Georgia, so hopefully I get to go to a Georgia Bulldogs game, maybe an Alabama game, since I'm a little bit closer to that too. I'm super excited to be in the SEC atmosphere for the first time. So we're gonna see how that goes, man. That's gonna be very, very exciting. But let's get right into our topics, man, that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, man. And today we're gonna be talking about the top 10 tight ends and the college football rankings right now. So we're gonna rank them from 10 to 1. I'm gonna go first, but before we do, as always, this is an interactive podcast. So if you're in here live right now, please come in, bring your comments in here. We love to have your comments. If you have any comments or anything you want to talk about, if you don't like our rankings, that's fine, because you're probably not gonna like my rankings. I like to go off of my own bias, so I always do that. But talk about our rankings, see what you like or things like that. So we're gonna have our first comment here, Mr. Jacob. What's going on, Jacob? And Jacob said, if water isn't top 3, I'm handing my resignation at tonight's meeting. Wow, you're just gonna do us like that, Jacob? We're gonna see if we're gonna be resigning. We're gonna see if we're gonna be resigning.
Here's my question for you, Jerome. Do you wear your Michigan hat down in the SEC country?
I will.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely will be having that.
Watch, man. They carry guns down there, brother. Okay,
You might be right about that. I might have to color a different color or something like that. Make it I don't know. But definitely. All right, let's get to our rankings. Right, I am super excited about this. Let's get to it. Number 10. I'm gonna start off, and I'm gonna probably make people mad right away with number 10. But before we get to number 10, I want to do an honorable mention. I'm not even gonna put him in my top 10, but this is a guy that I feel like he's gonna have a breakout year, especially with a young quarterback. I'm a little biased on this guy, but I had to mention his name because we did interview him when he was in high school. Went to Michigan, obviously. So Mr. Eric All, I wanted to mention him, honorable mention. I think that he's gonna have a better year. He struggled a little bit last year, but he showed a lot of potential last year. He was very athletic, and I thought he was a kid that can really help this offense. It's going to be a very young offense, so you're going to need your tight ends. They're usually your safety net. So Eric All, I just want to mention him. I'm not putting him in my top 10, guys. Not in my top 10. Ray, real quick, do you have anything to say about Eric All at all?
I like him. Again, I think Michigan misused most of our players last year, and he's another one that fell under that criteria. So,
Correct. Yeah. A guy, like we said, Michigan's offense was just struggling last year. So I really have high hopes for him. I think he has a lot of potential. So we'll see. But let's get to our actual list. So I apologize for adding that in there. Ray probably have a 10 A and 10 B anyway. So, hey.
I do. I have an honorable mention, too, so we're good.
See? Yeah, here we go. We're doing it up today. All right, number 10. Like I said, I might make people mad right away with this one, but I'm gonna say Trey McBride from Colorado State. The only reason I have him at 10, he's 6'4", 260 pounds. He didn't play that much last year. He only had 4 games last year. He should have a lot of promise. I think he's going to be really good. The only thing is that, again, he's in a non-power 5 team. So he's in a smaller school, being at Colorado State. Again, he only played 4 games last year in his sophomore year. So I want to see more from him. I do think he has a lot of upside. I want to see that he plays a lot better. I think he's one of those tight ends that's going to surprise somebody. Ray, what do you think about Trey McBride?
I like him. He don't have a big body of work to speak
Right.
about, like you said, just the 4 games. But I mean, we'll see. I'm not a huge fan, but I think he's a good, solid football player.
Okay, awesome. Ray, who you got at number 10?
Well, I have a 10A and a 10B. I have Braden Galloway from Clemson at 10 and as my 10B. I have Josh Weil from Cincinnati as my 10A, and I have an honorable mention too. I have Will Mallory from Miami. I think these guys are all good football players. I just didn't want to leave any of them out and not discuss at least mention their names, because I think I could have put any of these guys at 10 and been happy with that. So I kind of just wanted to mention all 3 of them. I think they're all versatile. They all had solid stats last year. Good football players. It's the one thing that's hard about tight end right now is judging who is going to be a strong blocker, because there's almost no blocking done in college football from the tight end position anymore.
Exactly.
But I think Weil has the size at 6'6". They all are 6'5" or better. I think Mallory from Miami has done the most inline blocking only because he had to, because his offensive line was really bad. But,
So true. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you. But go ahead, Ray.
I'm done now. I'm good. Breaking the rules.
No, really, Ray always breaking the rules. But we allow it, man, because he's the man, the myth, the legend. So we allow it, man. We have to let him do his thing sometimes. All right, let's get to
like I said, I just think that any one of them, I could have put them at 10 and been happy with it. So I kind of mentioned all 3 of them because, again, they all had good, solid stats last year. All are top, fairly talented receivers. Again, nobody blocks anymore from the tight end spot. So that part of the game is a loss, a loss. It's a loss issue. I mean, I don't know how to – that's the one thing I don't like about tight end position right now. If you want to play more of a conventional offense where you want your tight end to block, where does that guy come from in today's college football?
Definitely. All right, let's get to number 9. I'm going to get to my number 9 guy, and his name is Greg Dulcich from UCLA, a former walk-on. I always have a soft spot for walk-ons, man. When I play my very short college football experience, I was a walk-on as well. But college walk-on added 30 pounds to his frame since coming on to UCLA, and have a lot of potential. He's another potential guy. UCLA been kind of on the losing side of things, haven't been that great. I do feel like their offense is going to be a little bit better this year. I really do think they're going to have a better offense. Chip Kelly's running it. You know how I feel about Chip Kelly and being an Eagles fan. But I am interested to see how UCLA bounce a little bit better. Maybe we'll talk about UCLA at a later date. Ray, what do you think about Greg?
I like Dulcich a lot. I think he's a good football player. I think that you're starting to see Chip Kelly use his offense and his scheme now. I mean, it's still going to, we all know that he was a horrible NFL coach, but he did a good, solid job in Oregon. So we'll see what he does out there in UCLA. It was nice killing them last year because they were pretty bad, but they did seem to turn it around a little bit during the second half of the season. So we'll see.
Definitely. All right, Ray, who you got at number 9?
I have Greg Dulcich too. UCLA guy, again, like you said, walk on, good, solid size, more of an H-back type, I think, because, again, no one asks anybody to block right now. So I think he's one of them guys, if you line him up in a slot, let him go out there and play receiver, he'll be a good football player at that. I don't know how good of a blocker he will be. So right now, I think his body length and everything else is there for him to be a pretty solid football player. So
definitely. And if you remember Chip Kelly's offense, usually they feature the tight end a lot on Chip Kelly's offense.
they did, and they didn't ask him to block at all, which is why they drafted the guy that the Eagles have now because they like receivers. So
Yeah. So I think I know Chip Kelly drafted Zach Ertz.
Yeah.
So when he was with the Eagles, he had Ertz and Brent Selleck. So and obviously Ertz was the guy that he moved around a lot and used in his offense. So Chip Kelly liked to use the tight end. So I'm very interested to see how he uses them. All right, let's get to number 8. Number 8. Now, this guy, I really like this program. I kind of secretly like them as a team. I love their defense, but this guy, I think he is a guy. I'm just gonna say his name, Brent Kuchich. I forgot how to say his last name. From Utah tight end. He's a little bit smaller guy. He's 6'2", 230 pounds. So not your prototypical tight end size, but he's very productive. I think he was one of those guys that probably the best in the Pac-12 actually. Been doing very well with that. Breaks a lot of tackles for his size. So one of the guys I'm very intrigued with. Ray, what do you think about Brent?
Again, a good solid receiver. Didn't do anything in the blocking in the run game. So it's hard to project what he'll be in the NFL. But as far as college tight ends, he's a good football player.
Definitely. All right, Ray, who you have at number 8?
I had Trey Barry from Jacksonville State. He's a guy who did do some run blocking for his team. Actually had a solid season receptions, 33 receptions, a little over 500 yards, 16 yards of reception. Only had one touchdown, but he's 6'5", 6'7", 245. So he's got the length and the size to be a guy who maybe can help out in the blocking and the run game. So I have Trey Barry at number 2. And I like Jacksonville State obviously is a smaller school. Mm-hmm. So, he's one of them guys that you may get later in the draft next year, who I think is a pretty good football player. So
Ray with the small school player. Okay. 6'7" is dumb tall though. 6'7" is dumb tall.
Well, it makes him a good red zone target though too. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a great thing. My next guy that'd be tight end number 7. A guy that Ray might like a lot. I couldn't put him over a couple of these other guys. Sorry, Ray, but my guy is gonna be Michael Mayers, tight end from Notre Dame. I'm very intrigued with him. I don't think he played that much last year, if I'm not mistaken, but he showed a lot of promise. They call him Baby Gronk, so we'll see how he plays, but I'm definitely intrigued with him. Ray, him a lot from Notre Dame. What do you think about him?
I like Michael Mayer a lot. As we go through this, I have him a little bit higher than you. Not a whole lot higher though, but he is one of the guys that he does block pretty well at Notre Dame because that's why he had 42 receptions, 450 yards, which is solid. Mm-hmm. 2 touchdowns, also solid for a tight end.
Yeah,
but he does help out in the run game, and he's a good football player.
Yeah, and Notre Dame is known for producing offensive line and tight end almost all the time. So
they do. And Notre Dame is one of the teams that actually asks their tight ends to block a little more than other teams.
Exactly. So teams are definitely going to be looking for that. So Ray, but Ray, I want to hear your number 7.
My number 7 is Austin Stronger from Oklahoma. 6'5", 242 again. 251. So a guy who's 6'6", 251, a little taller, a little bigger. 26 receptions, 422 yards, 16 yards average, 3 touchdowns. He's only a junior, so he may be staying in school for one more year. But Oklahoma's going to throw the ball. They usually throw the ball a decent amount to the tight end. I think he's a good football player, and he's another guy who they actually asked to block a little bit in the running game. So
definitely. All right, let's get to our next guy, number 6, and it's the same guy that you were just talking about, Ray. I have Mr. Austin Strogner, if I say his last name right. A guy that we interviewed from Inside the Hatches. Great kid. Interviewed him while I was in high school. He started off a little slow in the beginning of the year, but really kind of took off until he got injured last year. The only reason, and which is the only reason why I have him a little bit lower on my list. I probably would have had him a couple notches up because he did get injured. So, but I like right. We say this almost every podcast. Oklahoma's going to throw the ball. We know that. He was a real big red zone target for Oklahoma last year. He made some amazing catches. Like he had some of the craziest catches I've seen last year. So I'm very intrigued with him. I think he's going to take that next step. I think again, like we keep saying, Oklahoma is going to be passing the ball a lot. Like you said, they block a lot with him. I probably would have had him a little bit higher. He's my personal 3rd favorite tight end, just because I like his size and how he catches the ball and he blocks. But the injury is a little concern, and the slow start from last year was a little concern for me. But I really do like him, but I couldn't bring him over some of the other guys.
Yeah. I think part of this slow start was because Oklahoma started out slow too. So
they did. No, right. You're completely right with that. They did start slow. They definitely did. Ray, who you have at your number 6?
I had number 6. I have Jake Ferguson from Wisconsin, another guy who blocks a little bit. Actually had 30 receptions, which is very, pretty solid, but only averaged a little over 10 yards of reception because, it's Wisconsin. They're a running team usually. But they use him a lot. Again, and I like guys that block, and this kid is a pretty good solid blocker, even though he's only 240 pounds. So,
I agree. Yeah. All right. Well, let's get to my number 5 guy, and that will be Eric Gilbert from that transferred to Georgia from LSU. I think this guy is going to be a really good tight end. I really do think that he's going to be really good. The only reason I have him at 5 and not a little bit higher is that I don't remember Georgia ever being that productive with their tight ends. Am I wrong for saying that, Ray?
No, you're right.
I really don't see Georgia.
That's why, even though I thought about him a lot, I didn't even put him in my top 10.
Ooh, wow. Yeah, he's a very productive tight end. It's probably one of their best tight ends in a while. But like I was saying, I don't see them being I'm telling you, I can't even remember the last really good tight end that Georgia have, and they don't really feature their tight ends. So that's another reason I was very curious about the transfer to Georgia, because you don't see that a lot. And Georgia has a really good running game, and then they have the play action game. That's what they live off of. He can do well in that, don't get me wrong, but it's usually a lot of running and then the play action. So I'm curious with that. Ray, what do you think about Eric Gilbert?
I like him. Again, I didn't have him in my top 10. He's not even listed as a starter at Georgia right now, because he's the transfer from last year. So we'll see. I mean, like you said, they don't throw to the tight ends. They run the ball a decent amount at Georgia. Mm-hmm. I don't know if his stats will be there to justify him being in the top 10 at the end of the season. So
I give you that. All right, Ray, who do you have at your number 5?
I have Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. I think that this guy actually, I could have put him anywhere. I have my top 2 or my top 2. I wouldn't move them too because I like them a lot. Yeah. But I could have put him anywhere from 3 to 5. I think Michael Mayer is a breakout candidate this year at tight end. I think that the one thing that hurt them last year was Notre Dame ran the ball a lot, and their quarterback wasn't that good. So
I agree with that, Ray. And I think you got a better passer this year.
We do, and I think they're probably going to need Mayer to play a little better this year. Notre Dame still does not have any studs at wide receiver. Yeah. I think Mike Mayer could be that number 1 option as a pass catcher.
Yeah. They're going to rely on Trey Williams a lot. So
for sure.
So you need somebody else other than him because they're going to stock the box. So Mayer's definitely going to get his. I definitely agree with that. All right, let's get to our number 4, Ray. I'm got this guy a little bit higher than you. I think you got him like 2 places lower, but this is gonna be Jake Ferguson for me. I really like the kid. Big body guy. He showed. I think he showed good promise last year. Um, I personally like him a little bit more than most people. I think that he's going to take that next step forward. And he gets a lot of passing snaps. Right. Actually, PFS right here has him. He went from 33% to 71% from 2019 to 2020. So they feature the guy. He's in the passing snaps all the time. So I don't think that's gonna decrease from there, and I think that he might even go up to like 75-80% this year.
Well, I mean, I have him in my top 10. I think he's a good football player. I think that, and like again, his 30 receptions in a little bit of a shortened season was solid.
Yeah.
But the 10-yard average is a little low. 4 touchdowns is solid. He has good size. Again, he does help out in the run game a little bit. I think he's a good football player. I think that tight end depth is pretty good this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you got your top guys, and we're gonna get to our top guys. So at number 3, and I think Ray, we might have our top 3 guys might be the same top 3 guys.
I didn't give you my number 4 yet, though.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who's your number 4?
I had James Mitchell from Virginia Tech.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
A guy who, again, doesn't really do a whole lot in the run game, but average over 16 yards of receptions, 4 touchdowns, solid size, 6'3". Again, another guy who's I think is a prototype, like H-back type guy. But if you have a guy who's a blocker and play him with him, this guy's going to be a good football player. I like James Mitchell. I think Virginia Tech is a team like Miami and Florida State where they're pretty athletic. They're just very inconsistent.
I 100% agree with that. Virginia Tech is a team that I keep my eye on every year. They always have talent. They always have they always have speed.
Absolutely.
I love it. Hey, like I always say, I love defense. Virginia Tech always have good defense, and they play. It's not even individual players all the time. It's more like the unit. Like they play really well as a unit all the time. So I think I really do like Virginia Tech, but like you said, almost every position is speed everywhere. That's where Michael Vick came from. So that tells you all you need to know.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right. Now let's get to our number 3, right? I'm sorry for skipping over you.
Fine.
Number 3, this guy, small school guy, very productive. Ray, I think we have the same guy.
It sounds like we do.
Isaiah Likely.
That is correct.
Very productive tight end. I think if he was on a big program, a lot more people know about him. But he really helped Coastal Carolina look like a team. I already had his quarterback in our top 10 last couple of weeks ago. I think that these 2 guys are going to grow together, and he's probably going to be his number 1 target this year. Ray, what do you think? What do you like about Isaiah Likely? Because I know you have him at 3 as well.
Yeah, I mean, what's not to like? 6'4", 245. Nice physical guy, gets off the line really quickly, gets in and out of his breaks very nicely for a tight end. I mean, he averaged 20 yards of reception. I mean, and he had 5 touchdowns. I mean, the production is there. So,
Definitely. And like you said, Ray, tall guy. He gets up there, get the ball when he needs to. I really, really do like him. I think that he's going to be a very good tight end. I'm not going to say it's a shame that he goes to Coastal Carolina, because Coastal Carolina is definitely an up-and-coming team. But I think that he's not getting as much recognition because he goes there. And, they still an unknown team, so a lot of their players kind of go under the radar. But they have a squad. I'm telling you, this team, they got talent there, man. So watch out for them. Don't think it's a one-year wonder for them. They're going to be good again this year, I believe.
I agree. I think they're a team that recruits pretty good, pretty well, I should say, and I think they're a good team. They are. And Likely is that guy for that in their offense, so he's a good player.
Exactly. So I'm Ray. I'm thinking we're gonna have our top three guys, the same guys. I don't know where you're gonna have them placed, but
Sounds that way.
it sounds about the same. Number two, I have Jalen Wide
Weidermeyer. Right.
Meyer. That's
Yeah.
like a tongue twister. Wider Meyer.
It is.
Yes, from Texas A&M. Guy is very productive. Guy. He is long. He gets the ball, plucks the ball out the air. Honestly, Ray, I'm not sure how he blocks, but he was very productive last year. What was it? He was in 80% of the running routes too, so he must be blocking pretty well. He was very comparable to Kyle Pitts. He's right under the Kyle Pitts and our number one guy probably. I'm not gonna say his name yet, but he was right under them last year. I think he's gonna continue that. He's gonna be one of the top tight ends drafted, I believe.
No, I agree with you. I think Weidermeyer is a good football player. He does help out, at least try to help out in the run game.
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a solid blocker.
Yeah,
I have him at number one, so I can just go with that. For right now, I have him actually at number one.
okay.
Was his ability to get in the run game, and he only averaged 11 yards of reception, but he has 6 touchdowns, 46 receptions. The stats are there. 6'5", 260 frame. I think he has everything, but he's not my number two. He's my number one guy. So
Okay. So you're number two.
Is Charlie Kohler from Iowa State.
Yeah.
Another guy who's 44 receptions, 590 yards, over 13 yards of reception, 7 touchdowns, 6'6", almost 260 body length frame. He's got it all. And I like guys, and he is another guy who you wouldn't think it, but he actually can block. I mean, my top 5 guys are actually guys that do a little bit in the run game and are a good pass catcher. So I like them all. I love Charlie Kohler. I keep doing mock drafts where already, believe it or not, where Miami takes this kid down the line there, because I don't know. Gesicki's could be a free agent after this year, so I'm looking like I may have to replace him if they don't want to re-sign him. So
that would be smart. But all right, let's get to our number ones. We already kind of spoiled it for you. I got Kevin. I got Charlie Kohler. He's my number one guy because, like Ray said, body, size. He got solid speed. Actually pretty good speed. Honestly, he's not Kyle Pitts, but he got good speed to him for a tight end. My favorite part about him is that he'll catch anything, right? Like his catching range, he'll do one-handers, he do basket catches, his put it anywhere you want, he'll grab it and go. And he have breakaway speed. I mean, not breakaway speed. Break tackling ability where somebody try to tackle him, he's not gonna go down easily. I really do like that about a tight end. I don't need my tight end to be the fastest. I don't need my tight end to be more like a wide receiver. I need my tight end to get up, grab it, and get to the end zone if he can, or break tackles. That's how I want my tight end. 6'6", 257 pounds. Big body guy. It's hard to tackle the guy. So I like Charlie Kohler as my number one guy, right?
I mean, I like him. I could have put him at number one. It really wouldn't have mattered. But, I mean, you look at Iowa State, they're loaded with players. You have Breece Hall at running back. Brock Purdy is the only thing that scares me.
Yeah.
I think Purdy's good. I do. But he was very inconsistent last year.
Very inconsistent.
So if I were Iowa State, I'd probably lean on Breece Hall a little bit more, throw the ball a little less if I can, and let things fall into place, hopefully.
Definitely. Yeah, Ray. I agree with you with that. I think that Brody will be the deciding factor, but he shows some flashes, and Charlie Kohler is his guy. You know it from the rip. That's his guy. So I think Kohler is gonna get his no matter what. So
the thing that scares me, not to get too much involved in the quarterbacks, that scares me about Purdy is he was better 2 years ago.
He was.
Than he was last year. So that scares me a little bit.
We'll see. I mean, maybe he'll come back with a comeback and be his 2019.
If he is, then he could catapult Charlie Kohler to being the top tight end. We'll see.
I agree. All right, Ray, and let's talk about your final guy, which is my number 2, who is
Jalen Weidermeyer. Again, helps out in the run game at Texas A&M. They're a run-heavy team usually. Production is there. Average catch is only 11 yards, but he scored 6 touchdowns. And most of these guys are young guys. He's a junior, so he could come back next year if he wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
But I could have put Weidermeyer or Kohler at 1-2 either way and been just as satisfied with either one of them guys. But I like Weidermeyer. I like him more because I think he's a little bit better of a blocker right now than Kohler.
I give you that. The only difference for the two, that's kind of the side factor for me. Like we just talked about Prody being with Kohler, but they have that chemistry together. Like
they do.
With how you say his name? Weidermeyer.
Yeah.
He just lost Kellerman, so it's that.
Is that a plus or a minus?
It might be a minus because right.
Kellerman is inaccurate.
No,
talking about a guy who didn't get any better in 3 years. That's the prototype right there.
Yeah,
he was no better his last year than he was his first year.
I give you that, right? But you got to remember, like there's a new quarterback in now, so you don't really have a sense of how he's gonna play with the new quarterback.
I agree with that. Not to kill Kellerman because again,
we're
involved in quarterbacks, but Kellerman drove me crazy for 3 years, man. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, he did have a good Senior Bowl, but
great for him. Everybody else at the Senior Bowl.
Raymond, y'all. If y'all don't know who Raymond is, that's him right there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
All right, let's get to our last segment real quick, and that's going to be the state of the program. So, again, if you guys have not seen our previous podcast, the state of the program is basically we talk about a team, see where they were last year, see if do we think they're going to be better next year, or rather this year coming up, and will they improve from what they had? Or will they be better or worse? We're not doing, records, but we're just gonna see how they stack up against, the competition and their schedule. And the first team we're gonna do is FIU. So that's Florida International University. The Panthers. Now the Panthers were 0-5 last year, which is I don't know how you get worse than that, but you can't get worse than that because they're gonna have more games this year. So they were really bad last year. Very COVID-driven year. I believe they had a new offensive coordinator. I believe the quarterback was obviously an issue for them last year. So they were really, really bad last year. So hopefully they get a little bit more stabilized in the quarterback position this year. But let's talk about their schedule. They got Long Island, Texas State. They got Texas Tech, Central Michigan, FAU, Charlotte, Western Kentucky, Marshall, Old Dominion, Middle Tennessee, North Texas, and Southern Miss. Ray, more wins, less wins, or about the same?
I think you had to say they're going to have more wins. They didn't have any, right? They won 0-5. So
0-5, yeah.
I think their offense is still not going to be great. I'm not a big fan of the quarterback, but they do return 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys on the defense. So I think that they'll be okay there. Yeah. It's just a matter of the quarterback playing better. If the quarterback plays better, they'll win more games. And
I agree.
If he continues to struggle, talk about a weird name, Max Barton Heiger, whatever. But anyway, pronouncing his name is not going to be fun. But hopefully, after this, we won't have to pronounce it again after this year anyway. So,
a few years ago, FIU had a lot of talent on their team, man, and as soon as they lost them, James Morgan, who got drafted by the did he get signed or drafted? I forget. But he went to the Jets as the backup. Once he left, their running backs, they had a couple of receivers they had. Once all those guys left, the team really regressed, and like usually you see a team kind of replenish or like struggle a little bit, but like they didn't. They were bad after that talent pool left. So
Their quarterback was drafted, and he was a pretty good player. I think
yeah, yeah,
that really hurt them last year. So
yeah, I agree. So yeah, we'll see how they do. They have they should beat Long Island. They got Texas State. That's like kind of a push. They're not going to beat Texas Tech. Central Michigan.
they're not going to beat Central Michigan. They're not going to beat FAU.
Nah.
They may beat Charlotte. Western Kentucky is a solid team. They won't beat Marshall. Old Dominion is a solid team.
Yeah.
Middle Tennessee is a game they could win. North Texas is a game they could win. Southern Miss they won't win. So I'm going to say they go. What's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to say 5 and 7, maybe 4 and 8.
Yeah.
So a little better, but again, a lot of it's going to depend on if their offense can play a little better. That's all.
Yeah, a little better is an understatement, right? Because they had no wins last year, so I think they could get a win this year. We'll definitely see. Obviously, last year was a short and stricken year, but
I do like Devontae Price, their running back, a little bit. He's a pretty talented kid.
Yeah.
They need to lean on him a little bit more, maybe.
For sure.
And again, it was a small sample size. I mean, 5 games. I mean, how do you know? You know?
Yeah, I mean, last year was tough for everybody, though.
It was just a weird year.
Yeah, and especially when you're kind of rebuilding your team and you're a small school too, it is kind of harder. But it was definitely a struggle.
And you lose your starting quarterback to the draft, and then you're like, don't have a lot of time to get the next guy ready. It was really teams like that probably should have just shut it down and didn't play it all last year.
Yeah, so. It was pretty bad. It was definitely pretty bad. All right, let's talk about the powerhouse now. We went from a small school to a powerhouse. We're gonna go straight to Alabama. So Alabama Crimson Tide, you guys already know, lost 2 of their receivers, Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle. They lost their quarterback and Mac Jones. They lost their running back and Najee Harris. So it's gonna be a whole new offensive team. Lost a couple of guys on the offensive line as well. Some guys on defense as well. As far as what was their cornerback name again? I forget his name.
Why do you do
first round pick?
Yeah. Sam, I'm not a Sammy. You played for Florida State.
Not Samuel.
God, his old man played for Miami.
Yeah, I know. You don't remember, right?
And his name is escaping me right now.
No, I know. I'm gonna figure it out. I know I have it.
As soon as I stop thinking about it, come right to me.
Exactly. That's how it goes, right? But anyway. Yeah, so they have a brand new team basically. So me and Ray already kind of discussed this team before, but last year they were 13-0, undefeated, number 1 ranked team. They won the championship, I believe, right? Yeah. So there was a very explosive offense. You know, they had Najee Harris, like you said, a running back that have a lot of promise. I think he's going to do great things for the Steelers. The only running back that we really had high and possibly going to the first round, he actually went to the first round. 2 receivers that were first round picks. They just been replenishing wide receivers every year. It seemed like, and offensive line. Lost some pieces on offensive line, but let's get to their schedule. They have Miami of Atlanta. They have Mercer. This schedule is weak. Again, Florida. They got Florida. They got Southern Miss, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Mississippi State, Tennessee, LSU, New Mexico State, Arkansas, and Auburn to wrap up the season. They're at Auburn. Ray, would it be the same, worse, or better?
You're talking about a team that went undefeated, so
I'm going
to go on a limb and say the same. because unless they get over the national title game and lose that game, I don't think they're going to lose any games during the regular season. I don't. So,
wow, yeah, they're this like I said, their schedule is kind of weak. The teams that I think can give them a challenge because they, again, we all know they're gonna have a young quarterback in Bryce Young. He's gonna be in there. The receivers are kind of new except for John Mechie. The other receivers, Slade Bolden, who's another junior, and Javon Barker, who's a sophomore, don't have a lot of game experience, so they're younger guys. A guy that I really like on their offensive line is Evan Neal, a guy that I got to talk to at IMG Academy years ago. He's probably going to be a first-round pick. He's probably going to be a top 5 pick, honestly. Really productive guard. I mean, a left tackle for them. I really do like him. On defense, they always have the great defensive line. DJ Dell's on the defensive line. They got Christopher Allen, Christian Harris as linebackers. At cornerback, they got Jalen Armand Davis, who's going to be a really good corner for them. So I think they're going to have a really good roster, and their defense is always really good. It's just the fact that they are very young at receiver and quarterback that kind of worries me a little bit, Ray. What do you think?
I think they're going to be very good again. I think their defense is going to be good. I think DJ Dale, their interior defensive tackle, is going to step up and have a great year this year. Mm-hmm. I don't worry about their offense. I think they have John Mechie. I think Brian Robinson is a good running back. He played some last year. Another big physical 225-pound guy, 230. Good football player. Their offensive line took some lumps, in the draft, but they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys that played on defense last year. Some of them played up as backups, but they still played last year. And we know what Alabama does. They reload every year, man. Patrick Surtain is a cornerback we were thinking about.
Patrick Surtain. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe I can't remember his name.
Yeah. Well, it's that from Miami. I should be, punching the face right now.
Yeah, so. Ray, what are you doing, Ray? No.
Sweating, actually.
Oh, he's getting to you, Ray.
It is.
Yeah, it's very hot in Jersey right now. So pray for Ray. Definitely pray for Ray. But the only thing I'll say, Ray, about this Alabama team is that they got a very, very cupcake beginning to their team.
Oh, they do. Well, they usually do, though.
They usually do. And that's the thing that bothers me a little bit because that allows a young quarterback to kind of get his feet wet a little bit. I'm like, all right, come on, guys, that's not fair.
Plus, they don't play Georgia this year. They play Florida, but Florida's not that good, and Florida lost their best players on offense last year, so they're not going to be that great either. And like you said, their first 5 to 6 games, they play a couple solid teams, but teams that lost players too.
Yeah.
And we already know Alabama, they just reload every year. I mean, it's just that simple.
Yeah. So, Ray, I'm going to go on a limb and say
they're going to lose a game?
They're going to lose a game, Ray. They're going to lose a game. And the game that I think it might be 2 games, actually. 2 games. Watch out for Texas A&M and LSU. The only reason it might not be LSU is that they're going to be in full form by LSU. But Texas A&M might sneak up on them because that's probably their first best team that they play.
I think they're stretched the two. If there is a shot they lose, there is that. Then back-to-back away games against Texas A&M and Mississippi State.
Yeah,
if they lose one of them games. It's possible.
Yeah,
you never know what injuries are going to be by the middle of the season by then. But if I had to bet money on it, I'd bet my Alabama was going to win both of them games. But I could see where they lose one of them games.
Yeah, like I said, it's a young offense that's going to be going against a better team for the first time that year. So that's one of those games that especially when you got a young quarterback that haven't got to that competition yet. I can see it kind of eased up into it. Like you say, Ray, Florida's probably the best one out of the first 5 games before they get to Texas A&M. And they're not that great. So it's do they really get a challenge out of them We'll see. But I think by Texas A&M, they're going to be a better team by that, and they're going to be comfortable with each other. But at the same time, Texas A&M is way better than the teams they're going to be playing before that. So,
without a doubt, that's true. I think
good.
I think Texas A&M is a solid team. If they're going to lose a game, it should be that one. I just don't. I wouldn't bet against it.
I agree. No, I totally agree. All right, let's go to our next team, and that will be Mississippi State. Hold on. Yeah. Mississippi State. So Mississippi State, we just kind of talk about them now, but they were 4-7 last year. So they lost a lot of some key players on their offense. They got a new quarterback in Jake Abram, who transferred to their team. So he might be the starter. They also got Will Rogers as the quarterback. So we see which one's going to win there. So the schedule is going to be Louisiana Tech, NC State, Memphis, LSU, Texas A&M, Alabama, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Arkansas, Auburn, Tennessee State, and Ole Miss. Ray, what do you think about Mississippi State?
If I had to bet, I'd say they may lose one game, possibly two. They do have some tough games. Of course, they play Alabama, but that's why I don't love their schedule. They play Texas A&M and Alabama back-to-back weeks. That's probably two losses right there, to be honest with you. So I'm going to say not as good as last year.
Wow. Oh, okay. I had got the sense that you was going to say they was going to win. They was going to win only. I mean, they was going to lose only 2 games.
No.
Oh, that's why I was
they're going to lose both of those games. They got Vanderbilt, which is not a good hard game, but they play at Arkansas and at Auburn. Arkansas is not a great team, but they score points. And Auburn, I expect to be better this year than they were last year. So I think, honestly, I don't have they have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games. They could go 8-4, 7-5 even.
Yeah. So you're right in the same ballpark as me. I was thinking about maybe 2 more wins than last year.
Right.
Maybe 3.
Right.
But that LSU, and you didn't mention LSU, Ray, but it's LSU, Texas A&M, and Alabama. Those 3 games in a row, you could say what you want about LSU. I think LSU is going to be a better team this year. But you got LSU, Texas A&M, and Alabama, all 3 of those teams. That's a heartbreaker right there. That is really.
You know what? And the crazy thing is, they play at Memphis. Memphis will score points against you. Mm-hmm. If they go in there and score points against you, then other teams will just follow suit and expose whatever Memphis shows them. That looks like a tough schedule for Mississippi State to me.
I 100% agree with that, Ray. I really, really do. I think even Arkansas might even sneak up on them, Ray.
Arkansas is another team. They have a good offense and they score points. So we'll see.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna give them 6 wins, maybe 7 wins. So I'm gonna say they're gonna be better, but it's gonna be a rough one for them.
It is.
I personally think it's gonna be rough for them. All right, let's get to Kentucky real quick. The Kentucky Wildcats. They were 5-6 last year, which was ranked 10th in the SEC. They have Louisiana Monroe, Missouri, Chattanooga, South Carolina, Florida, LSU, Georgia, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, New Mexico State, and Louisville. Ray, better, worse, or about the same?
I'm going to say a little better.
Okay.
They were only 5-6 last year.
Yeah.
I could see them being 6-5, 7-4 this year.
Yeah.
The first 2-3 games are fairly easy game ball. Mm-hmm. Not easy, but games that they should or could win. Mm-hmm. Then they play a stretch of South Carolina, Florida, LSU, Georgia, Mississippi State. If they go 2-3 or 4 in that stretch, that's good for them because I don't see them being any better than that. So
Definitely right. I definitely agree with that.
the one
I
team
like
is
their team.
Florida. I don't know what to think about Florida right now.
Yeah, Florida's I one. We'll probably talk about them soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kentucky. I like their defense. They've been producing some talent on that team. Some talented guys and individual guys. As a whole, they've been kind of struggling as a team though.
I mean,
Javian Davis, a guy that we interviewed, went to Kentucky last year, played very well, very athletic guy. They got a couple of guys in here that could also become NFL players as well. But their schedule looks a little light in the beginning. Missouri might sneak up on them. Then they got South Carolina. That's probably going to be a loss. Florida, LSU. They're probably going to be lost for them. They got Georgia.
Georgia.
So they got
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State. Tennessee might.
Yeah,
So
I don't see them.
It looks bad in the middle. It really looks bad in the middle.
It really
looks
does.
in the beginning and it looks good at the end. So I'm gonna say about the same. Like you said, I think you said it too. Like one more win, maybe. But yeah.
I mean, I do like Chris Rodriguez, their running back. I think they do return 4 or 5 starting offensive linemen, so their offense should be okay. They have Josh Ali, their wide receiver, who's a good football player. I like you said, that middle stretch of games is going to be hard for them to overcome that. So
yeah, that's a tough stretch for them.
It is.
Sorry for them. I really do. All right, let's get to our last team in the SEC. We're gonna try to get this out real quick, and we're gonna do the Missouri Tigers. So last year they were 5-5 to lose even. It was ranked number 8 in the SEC. They have Central Michigan, Kentucky, Missouri State, Boston College, Tennessee, North Texas, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, and Arkansas. Ray, better, worse, or about the same?
I think they're going to be a little bit better than that. I think that I see like 4 games they'll probably definitely lose.
Mm-hmm.
Put some up in the air games besides that. Again, Florida is the wild card here. If they beat Florida, maybe they're a little over 500. If they lose to Florida, maybe they're right at 500 again.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very curious with this team. I'm gonna say they're gonna be a little bit better. I like the fact that they got new defensive coordinator Steve Wilkes from Arizona. If you don't guys know, he was the head coach from Arizona Cardinals a few years ago. So they got him as a D coordinator now. That's gonna be really good. They're very loaded on the defensive line. They did lose Nick Bolden, but I think they have a pretty good replacement in Devin Nicholson. He's a pretty good linebacker for them. This is going to be second year for Eli Drinkwit, their head coach. So I think we're going to see some better things from them. Connor Blazelock was their freshman quarterback last year. He had a lot of he had 67% completion, which is really good for them. 2,366 yards passing. Now, the problem is he only had 7 touchdowns and 6 interceptions as a freshman, though. So we'll see how that goes. I think he's going to take that next step. But
and they're returning 8 starters from their offense. Their defense is going to be where they do lose Nick Bolton, which is key for them.
Right.
But their offense should be pretty good. We'll see if their defense can stay, and because their defense was pretty solid last year, but they did lose their best player. So,
no, I agree. So we'll see how that goes. But that's gonna do it for us today, guys. We appreciate everybody coming in and checking us out. Tune in again next Wednesday, where we talk about some more players. We're gonna be talking about offensive line. We might have a special guest on from before. You might know him. He was in here earlier in the chat, so we're gonna see if we can get him back in here. So I can't wait. We get into this offensive line. I can't wait to talk about some more of these teams. I can't wait till college football is back. It's almost here. I can just feel it, right? I can just smell it. It's almost here, right? But we're gonna get So we're gonna get ourselves out of here, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're watching this later on YouTube, please make sure you like and subscribe and hitting that notification bell so you can know when we go live. Because we do go live every Wednesday. But if you can't make it, you can't check it out. You get the notification, then you can watch it later, and you can like learn about some of your favorite teams or some of your favorite players. Some of the guys that we interview. So check this out. InsideTheHashes.com. Also, check that out where we got all our content on there, gaming, blogs, all that. Check it out. We have that. Fantasy football's coming up, so don't miss that. That's going to be very cool. So definitely go and check that out. Also, make sure you go check out our player interviews where we talk about a lot of these players that we're talking about on this podcast. We interviewed them. So we had that on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Just search Inside the Hashes, and you can listen to all those right there. So I'm your host, Jerome Jones. I got my man Ray Roberts over here. I hope y'all have a great night. We do appreciate each and every one of y'all. Be safe. See y'all next week.